sometimes you end up somewhere in a game that clearly was never meant to be found. Where the hell am I? This is why today we're diving into the top 10 craziest discoveries that were ever found out of bounds in video games, part 5. Brought to you by Skillshare. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description down below will get 1 month free. Order and Chaos Online. Thanks to Hyachi for submitting this on Oddheader.com. Order and Chaos is an MMORPG where players battle as either elves, orcs, humans, or Mendels. Years ago, Hyachi was playing Order and Chaos when he found something so odd out of bounds. He recently had to replay the game to make sure it wasn't just a fever dream. Sure enough, when he replayed it, it turned out he wasn't crazy, as Hyachi found by taking a swim outside of the normal playable area in the Whispering Island section of the map. Far out in the middle of the ocean, Hyachi found a lone island with nothing on it except what appears to be a ripped man in a sexy Santa costume, who also has the name I Know Lottery Large. If you're lost, well, get in line. Obviously, there's nothing like this anywhere else in the game, nor does I Know Lottery Large seem to mean anything. Somebody out there, please, why is this a thing? I can only guess this is where I Know Lottery Large likes to hide when he's getting into the holiday spirit. Family Guy, Back to the Multiverse. Thanks to Jay Hart for submitting this to the Oddheader Discord. 2012's Family Guy Back to the Multiverse is the second and last console title based on the hit animated TV show, which actually has a rather interesting out-of-bounds discovery. It was found by Toxic Pinhead on the first level of the game It's All Greek to Me. If you were to use a hack to lift yourself up and over this fence and get outside the playable area, you could head over to a pizza parlor in the distance, and behind it find an enormous hole in a brick wall that goes entirely unused in the normal game. Now, if you're a Family Guy fan, you may have likely already drawn your own conclusion, as this series has a notorious gag involving the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
Who breaks through the wall at any given moment in reference to the Drinks for TV advertising campaign. The Family Guy game community is under the belief the discovery is most likely an unfound or cut appearance of the Kool-Aid Man that was originally supposed to appear in the game, or it's just a random hole in the wall. But since this is Family Guy, that seems hard to believe. The Sims 2. Thanks to Mr. Nice Guy for submitting this discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Players noticed in the Sims 2 expansion pack Apartment Living in the neighborhood Belladonna Cove, by hacking the camera, you could take the camera out of bounds and move into the upper left corner all the way to the edge of the map, where you could find a hidden lot known as the Water Vista Palace. On the lot is a spiral staircase over 2 shadows in the shape of chicken feet. Strangely, even though it's well beyond the normal accessible area, the lot is actually purchasable and even comes fully furnished. The secret hut is a reference to the character Baba Yaga from Russian and Eastern European folklore. Baba Yaga being a witch who lives in the woods in a hut on chicken feet and flies around on a giant mortar and pestle. One possible theory is this is a reference to the fact that the witches were introduced into The Sims 2 with this expansion pack, and it's even more fitting the hut is on the Belladonna Cove map, as belladonna is a poisonous plant used by witches in many folk tales. My only word of advice is to be careful exploring out of bounds here, as Baba Yaga is known to punish those who wander where they're not supposed to, and end up upon her home. Oh yeah, she also eats children. BioShock. Thanks to Chief for submitting this discovery through Oddheader.com. At one point in the game, the player is sent by one of the antagonists in the game, Sander Cohen, to the East Garden Strip Club, where they can follow the ghost of a dancer named Jasmine down a hallway into a room where it's slowly revealed she was killed in a scuffle with the main antagonist, Andrew Ryan. After a trippy sequence with shadows ends, the door to Jasmine's bedroom opens, revealing a bloody crime scene. However, Chief decided to use a no-clip developer command to enter the room before the door actually opened, and found that the shadows moving along the hallway didn't actually belong to Jasmine or Ryan, but rather to 2 models of Sander Cohen doing a sexy pole dance, an animation that actually belonged to Jasmine earlier in the scene, which begs the question why Sander Cohen is here in the first place. If I had to guess, the developers were either having a laugh playing with something that couldn't normally be seen, or perhaps it was originally planned to have Cohen appear during the scene as the one point in the strings behind the scenes, which funny enough he's still kind of doing in a very meta BioShock kind of way. Damn Cohen, get it! Dust, an Elysian Tale. Thanks to the Shadowed One for submitting this on the Oddheader Discord. Dust and Elysian Tale is a 2013 action role-playing game by indie developer Dean Dodrill. The Shadowed One shared that on the Xbox 360 version of the game, on the map Archer's Pass, it was found after unlocking the double jump in Chapter 4, that if you were to stand in this exact spot of the level and then press RT and A immediately after, on occasion you could fall out of bounds of the environment. If you were to then use your attack and dash to hover to the right, you would suddenly spot whatever the hell this is, as it appears to be some sort of white smiling puff with a shield and a scepter, and with a tree branch for hair. What the puff is doing here, I have no idea. Though to make something like this, you have to be puffing something. Star Wars Battlefront, 2004. Thanks to RetroEnthusiasm for submitting this through the Oddheader Reddit. RetroEnthusiasm found an interesting out-of-bounds discovery this year in the original 2004 Star Wars Battlefront, 16 years after the game's release. As RetroEnthusiasm found for the first time on version 1.2 in the game on the map Jabba's Palace, if you were to use a camera hack to get just behind this wall, you could find this peculiar figure sitting just outside the environment. There's an odd head. Strangely, RetroEnthusiasm also found a command post out of bounds, but when he went to check the map on its reappearance in Battlefront 2, the command post was still there, but the mysterious robot figure was missing. It's hard to say just what exactly this model was supposed to be, as it definitely appears to be fairly unfinished. But if I had to guess, it sort of looks like somebody wanted to take C-3PO and chain him up like Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi, which sort of seems like enough reason to have left us in the abyss outside the environment. Either that or they didn't get the clearance to sexualize C-3PO. Valorant. Thanks to heyimfohru for submitting this through the Oddheader Discord. Valorant is a game that was covered in my last Out of Bounds video before it was officially released in 2020, as players on Twitch that were sent the beta of the game found some interesting out of bounds discoveries, such as this plane that I covered that only appears if you angle the camera just right out of bounds, which is especially odd as this map appears to have an ominous eye marking the spot of the plane, but it appears the developers have continued to hide even more for us to find out of bounds, as heyimfohru decided to explore a building outside the playable area the map breathes, and found a group of plushies having a tea party with a slab of meat on the table, and of course a giant worm in a top hat with a cane lurking on the other side of the room. I wonder what this asshole did because it doesn't look like he was invited to the party. Guild Wars 2. Thanks to Icential for submitting this through Oddheader.com. Icential submitted that in the Brisbane wildlands of the massive multiplayer online game Guild Wars 2, you can find a broken bridge north of Lion's Head Outcrops that when you look in the distance clearly has a mysterious portal floating out of bounds on the other side. Unfortunately, even if you were to get to the other side, there's an invisible wall that blocks you from getting any closer. Damn invisible walls! On the game's map, the area only registers as faint pigments of some mesa plains, and it's mentioned in the lore somewhere that the broken bridge is currently being rebuilt by bandits. Well, they're certainly taking their time getting that bridge done, as this portal has stood here completely unsolved for years now with no one having any clue where the portal leads, unless they simply put it here because the developers are jerks. Compound. Thanks to Guppy for submitting this through Oddheader.com. Compound is a retro-style first-person shooter by developer Bevan McKechnie, where the player starts in the sewers and shoots their way up to the top of the compound. Guppy, however, thought screw that and used OBR advanced settings available on Steam that granted him advanced movement ability so he could climb to the top of the highest point in the game as soon as the game started. However, when he got to the top, he was surprised to find there was a wet floor sign with a unique animation bouncing up and down with some sort of image on one of its sides. Maybe a face? It also says Piso Mojado, which just means wet floor in Spanish. Guppy was contacted by somebody in the comments of his YouTube upload, who said it was a reference to a sign they found in the forest, and that they then forced the developer to include it at gunpoint. Whoa. Strangely, another someone also contacted Guppy on Steam and said he also made the developer included in the game, and that it will appear in future games. Okay, now I'm starting to get concerned. NieR Replicant. Version 1.22. Thanks to Carlmundo for submitting this through Oddheader.com. NieR Replicant version 1.22, technically NieR Replicant version 1.2247448739 ... is a newly released international remaster of the original Japanese version of the game, where players assume the role of NieR on a mission to protect his sister Yona, who's sick with the Black Scrawl, an unfortunate terminal illness, who was originally the player character's daughter in the Gestalt version of the game. In later moments of the game, you see Yona lying in bed during some in-game cutscenes, but the game never lets you approach her while she's on the bed when in control as the player, as soon as you enter the location a cutscene activates and a boss battle begins before you ever have a chance to walk up to her. Carlmundo, however, did a save hack so that he could load up the area before he was supposed to, which finally gave him the ability to check up on Yona before she's actually recovered from the bed, and was met with a rather odd sight. Oh! Good thing we never saw this, because from the looks of things, I don't think she's gonna make it. And that Black Scrawl's a bitch. And something that's definitely not a bitch is Skillshare. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, whose DIY green screen for film class by filmmaker and green screen guru Paul Trillo actually came quite handy in creating the intro for this video. Skillshare is a really awesome learning community, where creatives of any skill level can search for thousands of classes, search or browse for a class and then instantly hop into a video playlist with no ads whatsoever, as a teacher takes you through a concise and simple step-by-step course. Or you can do a class in real time and join a live session working with others. Although I've worked with green screen in the past, past, Trillo continuously did things in his class that made me think, well, that was clever and never thought of that before. He took the time to break down the basic fundamentals of how a green screen works, and gradually went into more advanced techniques like usefulness of motion blur and even motion tracking. It gave me basically everything I was looking for in improving my own skills by just kicking back on the couch and watching some videos for an hour. The experience felt so simple and useful and kind of relaxing, and I'm looking forward to trying more of their classes for other things like animation and live DJ. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description down below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you know of any other discoveries that were found out of bounds in video games that you'd like to see me cover, submit to oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. Shout out to Alexander Knight, Angel to Fox, Ash Photography, Andrew FF, Bitwit27, Chad Biscuits, Bro Ups, Combat 15 Bowl, Dear Mid Crowley, Ed Moffat, Eddie Talkspit, Foxalytic, Fox M Cloud 123, Kenneth Guitar, Oliver Pearson, Ray Sparrow, Riley S, Robert Eisenman, Scarities, Scout with a Name, Sneaking J, Taryn Stock, Towerizer, Vincent, and Jan Banier for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.